Teachers, hello. My name is Brother Anderson. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the coordinator for Seminaries and Institutes of Religion. It is my job, I work for the church, to train and support you. And many of you are new teachers and are coming here maybe with a little bit of apprehension, a little bit of fear. And so my hope is that the series of videos throughout the summer will give you some things to practice and work on, build your capacity so that when the school year hits, you'll feel confident, you'll be ready to roll. And so this is an introduction video where I just want to talk to you about, for my 17 years of teaching religious education, what I have learned matters the most. That there's a million things that you could worry about and focus on as a seminary teacher. But the most important two things you need to worry about is your relationship with your students and teaching, good, solid teaching. Relationships, teaching. That's what you've got to worry about. I don't know if you watched, how many of you watched the Elder Uchtdorf Fireside where he introduced the new Gospel Teaching and Learning Handbook. That handbook we will use more and more as trainings come out. I'd invite you to go and check that out as part of your training, as that's what I'm doing too. I train on it, but I'm still learning it too. It just came out for me as well. But there are some major principles, and one of the things that Elder Uchtdorf used as an analogy I thought was really good. Whenever you are engaged in a complex task, he used flying an airplane, but he used it as an analogy for teaching. Teaching is a complex task. It's an art form, and it's a science. There's a lot that goes on with teaching. He said that even the best pilots, the best surgeons, if President Nelson was giving the talk, they used something that's a very useful tool. They used a checklist, something that they just made sure always was present with whatever they did. Now, for those of you who know me well, you know that I've railed against checklists in the past, and I still think that we've got to be careful about having a checklist mentality. If we use a checklist as the end, the goal, then we're gonna come out wrong, because that's not what checklists are for. But if we use a checklist to make sure we start right, then that's a good use of checklists. And so Elder Uchtdorf went over 5 things. There are 5 standards that we as religion teachers will work by that should be our checklist. And Elder Uchtdorf went through them, but let's just remind ourselves what those are. Number 1 is focus on Jesus Christ. As you go through your lesson, there's a checklist of questions here that President Uchtdorf invited us to think about. Is our lesson focused on Jesus Christ? Number 2, love those you teach. In our next video, we're going to talk a lot about that in our video series, and he has a list of questions here about how you feel about your students and what it is that you ought to be feeling for them. Number 3 is teach by the Spirit. Here's a list of checklist questions we could ask ourselves. Number 4 is teach the doctrine. Is this a doctrinally based lesson? Are you teaching from the Scriptures, the words of the prophets? And then finally, number 5, how much are you going to invite your students to participate in the lesson? Or are you going to carry the burden yourself? You need to see, is there enough in this lesson plan where I know what the students are going to do, and I'm going to give them something to do, to work on, something to leave the classroom ready to do. And those 5 checklist items are going to help you as you're trying to teach powerfully throughout this semester. So the next series of videos, we're going to focus first on relationships. The second series of videos, we're going to focus on teaching lessons. And then there will be a third series of videos that I reserve just for doctrinal mastery, because this initiative, although it introduced 6 years ago, we are still trying to figure out how to do this the way the revelation that came through our leaders was meant for us to do. And so we'll have a series of videos on that. So buckle up. I hope you have some time and a notebook near you so that you can write down some thoughts and feelings as we go through this video series together.